Okay, you're live. You can begin.
We will call the call the meeting to order. And I think the appropriate time is 6:04. And the first item on the agenda is a roll call. I'm not sure how we're supposed to do this, Autumn, so if you can help me with that.
This is Brian. You can go do a roll call of the board.
Okay. So we have current Vice Chair Stanley Morgenstern
I'm here.
and Brian Adamovich,
Here, present.
Susan Galpin-Tyree,
Yes.
Robert Gruler,
Good evening, I'm present.
Judge Kiefer, Judge Kiefer.
Yes, I'm present. Is that unmuting? I'm present.
Thank you. Judge Marwill
Present.
and Tricia Schaefer.
I'm here.
Great.
Okay. Thank you. Just want to welcome you all. A number of you are attending your first meeting. I've been on this board since 2015, and my term is going to be up next month. But glad to be able to conduct this meeting and get us through the agenda. Just as a way of information, at any time during these meetings, there's a necessity for going into executive session, and if it's appropriate to do so, then the general meeting can be adjourned and executive session taking place. I don't think there's any reason at this point to do that. So we'll move on. As a way of announcement, we've had one reappointment of a board member, and I congratulate Brian Adamovich on his reappointment. And we've had several new board members whose names you'll find in the agenda, and welcome to all of you. The first thing on the action agenda is to elect a new chairperson and a vice chairperson. So at this point, I would open up the floor for any nominations of a chairperson. If there are no nominations, I would ask for a volunteer. Any nominations or volunteers?
Hi, this is Robert Gruler. I'm happy to volunteer for either position.
Very good, I appreciate that. If there are no other nominations or volunteers to consider, then I would call for a motion to accept Robert Gruler's appointment as the chairperson of this board. Is there a second, or is there a motion?
I'll make a motion. It's Judge Marwell.
Thank you. May I have a second?
This is Susan Galpin-Tyree. I second that motion.
Thank you. Do we do a roll call vote or can we do a voice vote?
I'll do a roll call vote. So Brian, how do you vote?
Yes.
And Susan
Yes.
and Judge Kiefer
Yes.
and Stanley Morgenstern,
Yes. Yes.
and Trisha.
Yes.
It appears that the motion, having been formally made and seconded, is passed. Thank you, Robert, for volunteering, and look forward to your chairmanship.
Thank you, and thank you, everybody.
Do we have any nominations or volunteers for a vice chairperson? Somebody out there would like to be vice chairperson.
This is Susan. I would be happy to serve in that role if appropriate.
This is Robert, and I move to nominate Susan.
This is Judge Marwell. I'll
Judge
second the motion.
All right, motion having been made, is there a second?
This is Judge Marwell. I seconded the motion, but I don't know if you heard me.
I'm sorry, I didn't, but thank you.
Okay.
Have a roll call vote, please.
Yes. Brian Adamovich, how do you vote?
Did you hear me?
No, sir.
Oh, I said yes.
Okay, thank you. And Robert Gruler,
Yes.
Judge Kiefer,
Yes.
Judge Marwell,
Yes.
Stanley Morgenstern,
Yes.
and Trisha Schaefer.
Yes.
Great.
Appears that the motion has been carried. And Susan, thank you very much for your participation as vice chairperson.
Pleasure.
Next on the agenda is the approval of the minutes of the public meeting conducted on January 17th, 2018. I hope you've all had an opportunity to review that. First of all, are there any additions or corrections? If none, may I have a motion to adopt and approve the minutes of January 17th, 2018?
I so move. This is Susan.
Second, this is Brian.
Thank you. Any discussion? If none, may we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Brian Adamovich,
Yes.
Susan Galpin Tyree,
Yes.
Robert Gruler,
Yes.
Judge Kiefer,
Yes.
Judge Marwell,
Yes.
Stanley Morgenstern,
Yes.
and Trisha Schaefer.
I would abstain. I wasn't present for the meeting.
Okay.
Thank you. It appears that the motion is carried. Next is the approval of the 2018 JAAB annual report. May I have a motion to approve that report?
Yes, this is Robert Gruler. I move to approve that report.
Second, this is Brian.
Thank you. Any discussion? If none, may we have a vote, please?
Okay. Brian Adamovich,
Yes.
Susan Galpin Tyree,
Yes.
and Robert Gruler,
Yes.
Judge Kiefer,
Yes.
Judge Marwill,
Yes.
Stanley Morgenstern,
Yes,
and Tricia Schaefer.
I would abstain.
Great, thank you.
thank you. The motion is carried. May I have a motion to approve the 2020 JAAB Annual Report?
Susan, I move to approve the 2020 annual report.
Brian, I second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? And if not, may we have a vote?
Brian Adamovich,
Yes.
Susan Galpin Tyree, Susan,
Yes.
okay. Robert Gruler,
Yes.
Judge Kiefer,
Yes.
Judge Marwill,
Yes.
Stanley Morgenstern,
Yes,
and Tricia Schaefer.
Abstain.
Okay, the vote is
thank
complete.
you. Motion. Thank you. Motion is carried. Next on the agenda would be the opportunity of the public, anybody attending the meeting, to give any comments or input. I don't know that we have anybody from the public out there. Is that correct, madam?
Correct, and we didn't get any emails either, but we do need to go back and do 2019, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that.
Yes.
All right. Okay. May I have a motion to approve the 2019 JAAB Annual Report?
This is Robert Gruler. I move to approve the 2019 report.
Brian, I second.
Any discussion? And if not, may I please have a vote?
Okay, Brian Adamovich
Yes.
and Susan Galpin Tyree,
Yes.
and Robert Gruler,
Yes.
Judge Kiefer,
Yes.
Judge Marwill,
Yes.
Stanley Morgenstern,
Yes,
and Tricia Schaefer.
Abstain.
Okay. The vote is complete.
thank you. The motion is carried. Thank you, and the motion is carried. There be no public comment. The next thing on the agenda is to discuss the timeline for Judge Yenna's judicial reappointment. Yeah, I think you've all received the outline for that reappointment. Again, Autumn, how do you want to proceed with this discussion?
I'm not sure. I just want to go over this last couple of months. I put a tentative date for our next meeting on the 10th, but then realized that the due diligence isn't due back till the 12th. So if we could do the 16th of February, and then that gives me 2 weeks to submit it to council. He expires on the 30th of April, and we have to go to council by the 16th of March.
Meeting
This is Judge Kiefer. I just have a quick question. Do we typically conduct these meetings at 6 p.m.?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. Well, that date's fine with me.
Are we going to have time to review due diligence before the meeting? If it's back on the 12th?
I will be sending out the names of the people that you guys are going to be calling. Each board member is going to get a list of people that they have to call, and then all that is compiled, and then as soon as I get it compiled, I can send it out before our meeting on the 16th,
Okay.
if that's what we decide.
Keep in mind that that Monday, I don't know if that's a city holiday, the 15th.
Yes, sir, it is.
Autumn, it's Judge Marble. When we get our due diligence assignments, do we also get instructions as to what topics we're to cover since I'm new to this committee or board?
Yes, there will be some directions. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. I just wanted to make sure that we would know what exactly we were supposed to substantively do with it. I have my own ideas, but I'm sure the city wants to cover specific topics as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments or concerns about the schedule? I think if you review the minutes of the 2018 meeting, you get a pretty good idea of how that is handled at the particular meeting, the comments by the judges and the public, and the questions that are asked of the judges. So, all right, the next thing on the agenda is the timeline for Judge James Blake. Any questions concerning that timeline or comments?
No, and that looks
Adam,
like,
anything you need to add? I'm sorry?
no, I mean, that looks like it's about 2 or 3 months after. Judge-
Correct.
So,
Correct. He expires in September, but the reason why it has to go to council in June is because there's no council meetings in July or August. So he's moved up because of the no council meetings.
well, I think that works then. So we'll do one round of calls and interviews and then another round.
Yes. Mhm.
All right, any other questions, concerns about the timeline for Judge Blake? Okay, now we can move on to item 11 on the agenda. I'm not quite sure exactly what this is, Adam, perhaps you can help me out with that. To set a date in February for a public hearing to review survey data and develop interview questions.
That was the one that I was
Interview.
asking to move to February 16th. And if February 16th works for everybody.
Oh. Okay. Very good. There's nothing else on the agenda. So I guess the next appropriate thing is request a motion to adjourn.
Actually, I'm sorry, this is Judge Kiefer. Can I just ask a couple quick questions? I'm new to your process as well. So I understand we're talking about setting a meeting in mid-February, the 16th, for, in part, at least, a review of due diligence information on this reappointment issue for one of the judges. I guess we're not really setting any other deadlines for the other judge whose timeline is a little bit farther out for that review. But does this body typically have monthly meetings, or is it just is it more ad hoc as issues arise, and then we set meetings based on task or events?
I believe these meetings have been typically when as needed for reappointments, correct, Stanley?
Yes, that's correct. As you can see from the annual reports,
Yeah.
we have not had a meeting in 2019 or 20 because none of the judges were up for reappointment during that time.
Got it. And I did notice that.
And the meeting on, our meeting on
Go
the
ahead.
16th of February will include conversations with the judge, at which point in time, members of the panel, the board will get to ask the judge any questions they want to based upon both the reports and the surveys that we get and the judge's comments that are made during that meeting. That really is the final step that the board takes, and the next step is simply a report to council as to our recommendation.
Okay, so as part of this meeting on what's now projected to be the 16th, is the early part of the meeting a review by the board of the reappointment application, the survey data, and then we're developing interview questions, but the interview will also be conducted at that same meeting on February 16th?
I believe so. Is that how
That's
it's
correct.
typically? Okay, awesome.
Yes.
And then do we anticipate at that time we would be talking about maybe a future meeting to do the same type of thing for Judge Blake?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions or concerns about the reappointments? All right. If not, again, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
This is Robert Gruler. I move to adjourn.
This is Susan.
We have
I
a second. All right, we have a vote.
Do you need me to do a roll call for this?
I don't think that's necessary unless there's some objection to it.
Oh, okay.
Haven't heard any objections, so we will adjourn this meeting. Thank you all for attending and look forward to meeting you all, hopefully in person.
Thank you, everybody.
Likewise, thank you all.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Goodbye.
Take care.
Are we done being live?
Not yet. Wait for Michael to end the meeting. He has to end it on his PC that has the screen share on it.
Got it.